Hello everyone and welcome back to my kitchen today. In today's video I have 4 different meals that I prepare in my kitchen. We have a beef stew which I do in the slow cooker, also a chicken pie that I made from a cooked roast chicken. I also have salmon patties with a nice little sauce and served with pasta and veggies. And the last one, but not least, is the New Orleans Jambalaya, which is a very delicious dish as well. So I hope you stick around. I have included the timestamps in the description box below if you want to skip ahead to see a certain meal. And let me know in the comments if it's something that you want to try out. So it is the morning and tonight I want to do beef stew for supper. So I thawed out my stewing beef that we got locally raised, and I have about 2 pounds worth here. So first what I'm going to do this morning, I'm going to be cooking this in the slow cooker. So first I'm going to brown it in a hot pan on the oven, on the stove. And then I'll put it into my slow cooker with the seasonings and some onion. And later on in the day, I will add the vegetables in. So just when you go to brown your beef, don't salt it beforehand because it'll draw out the water and it'll brown less well. So you can always add your salt after, once it's in the slow cooker. And so I'll brown this up and show you what I'm going to add into the slow cooker with it. Okay, so I have some bacon fat in here that is nice and hot now. I've got my stewing beef. I drained off any of the blood or the juices, and we're just going to put it into our pan and let it get a nice brown coating all around. Okay, so my meat is nicely browned. So I have my crock pot here, my slow cooker. I'll just empty it into. Now to get the bits on the bottom, we're just going to put a little bit of water and scrape up the bottom so we get all the tasty bits, and add that to the slow cooker. Juices. Woo! Steamy. Now to this I'm going to add 1 cut up onion. I also found mushrooms. I thought I didn't have any, but I'll put the mushrooms in now as well. And not everybody puts mushrooms, but we don't mind that here. And then for the seasoning, I'm going to put a little bit of steak spice, because that tastes good. Pepper, thyme, paprika, rosemary, and also some garlic powder. Now something else that I like to add to my beef stew is a tomatoey kind of flavor. So sometimes I'll add a can of V8, or if I have just some chopped tomato, or today I have this jar of tomato sauce that I've already opened up and I have some left. I probably won't put the whole thing, but just a little bit to coat, and it gives that tomatoey flavor. So we'll just give everything a little stir and then cook it on low. So I'll cook it on low for a few hours, and then I'll add my cut up vegetables. It smells really good. All right, my stew meat has been cooking on low in the slow cooker for a few hours now. It tastes delicious. I just had a little bit, and the sauce is so good. Lots of flavor. So now I'm just going to prep my veggies to put in. So I have some potatoes, I have a turnip, and I have some carrots to put in. So I'll cut these up into chunks and get them in with a bit of extra salt again, maybe a bit of extra water. We'll see if it's needed. And then at the end, I'm going to add some frozen green beans, but they don't take too long to cook, so I'll put those in at the end. So I'll just put this in. I'm going to add some salt. And pepper. We enjoyed our beef stew with a nice slice of spelt bread. If you haven't seen that video, you can go check that one out. Good evening, friends. Tonight I'll be making some chicken pie for supper. I'm trying to use up things that I have. So on the weekend, I had roasted a couple of our homegrown chickens because I was trying to empty out the freezer. One, I used most of it to make a Mexican chicken casserole that I'd done. This one will make into chicken pie. I'll be using this. I also have various herbs, salt and pepper, of course, some basil, thyme, rosemary, Italian seasoning. For the veggies inside the pie, I have some potatoes that I'd forgotten about. I found them in the cupboard today. They're starting to sprout, but that's okay. We'll use these. I also have I have turnips, but I'm going to do turnip on the side, some mashed turnip. I have onions and carrots for the chicken pie, and I'll be adding frozen peas as well. And then for the top of the pie, I just put a crust on the top, and it'll be like a biscuit crust. So I have flour, baking powder, a little bit of butter, and you're supposed to use milk, but I don't have any milk, so I'll use some kind of broth. So I have some bone broth that I can mix the biscuit crust with. So I'll get my veggies cut up like usual. I think what I'll do is I'll use some of the fat on the top of my drippings from the chicken, and I'll get that heating up in a pan, and then I can cook my onions and carrots and potatoes in that. So I'll just do that. Okay, so my chicken fat is warmed up that I scraped off the top of my drippings there. So I'm gonna throw my onions in. Onions look delicious, yummy. I'm going to add in the carrots. Potatoes. So I'll just let it brown a bit and warm up, and then I'll add the rest of my gelatinous chicken drippings. Look how that is, and this is so good for you. Nails, hair, joints, everything. So I'm going to grate my garlic in here. Do you guys use a garlic press? I have never been fond of a garlic press. The garlic always just seems to get too stuck for me. I don't know. For me, it's just easier to do this way. And it gets grated into little bits. All right, we're gonna put this in. Plop. Let it heat up, and I'll probably add maybe a little bit of boiling water as well. And then after, to thicken it, we'll add in a little bit of a flour and water slurry to thicken the gravy. We'll also season it a bit now too with some salt, some pepper, some thyme. As you can see, I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing like a teaspoon or so. And I have some basil here. Calls for parsley too, but I'm not sure that I have parsley. So I might just leave it out for today. Give it a stir, put the lid on. I'll go boil a little bit of water to add. And then I have to clean the chicken, chop up the chicken. Chicken all chopped up. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of boiling water, just enough to cover the potatoes, and we'll let it simmer until it's cooked. Okay, for the biscuit crust, if I could, I'd double it, but I don't have enough butter. Just using what we have. So first I need a cup of flour, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then I'm going to cut my butter in with my pastry cutter. And I also said I'm missing milk, so I have this beef bone broth that I'll just use in place of it. I've never done that, but I'm pretty sure you can. It'll give a little bit of a different flavor. Just mixing it a little bit with my hand, just to get the butter really small. And then the trick is when you add your liquid, don't mix it very much. You just mix till it's combined. And then I will put it on my wax paper here. And I'll just make, it's probably not even gonna cover my whole dish here because I did do a lot of the filling. So it'll cover part of it. And actually one of my sons doesn't really like crust, so he can just have some without crust. Okay, in goes the liquid. Mix it with a fork here. And you know what? My husband just brought milk home. Oh well. We used the bone broth. It's all good. I'm just going to make my flour and water slurry to thicken the gravy. So again, I'm not measuring. I have water and flour, and then I just put it in a container and shake it. Okay, so my carrots and potatoes are just about cooked. So I have some frozen peas here I'm going to add. And I'll also add my chicken. My filling is boiling away here. The chicken's heated up. The peas have also cooked. So we'll add the slurry. Just to thicken. Stir it in. And after this, I'll taste if it needs more salt and pepper. So we'll add that. And if not, then we'll put it in our baking dish. You have to bake it for about 25 minutes at 400 degrees. And so you see, I have the crust on half of it with a fork. All right, I'm going to cut up the turnip to boil it and then mash it. Do you guys like raw turnip? I do. I love it. When I was in elementary school, at recess time, I could go get a snack, a slice of turnip with some salt on it for 10 cents. And I love raw turnip. Alright, it's Friday evening and I plan to do some salmon patties. We kind of had a fun Thursday. We had our hamburgers Thursday, so today it's just more of a regular meal. So in my bowl here I put 5 cans of this sockeye salmon, and then I have an egg and some onion chopped up finely, some dill and salt and pepper. So I'm going to mix this all together thoroughly and then make it into patties and just coat them with some breadcrumbs. And then I will cook them in a pan with either a bit of butter or a bit of avocado oil. And then to go alongside that, I'm going to make a pasta with some veggies. So I'll just stir fry these veggies here and then add the cooked pasta with some Parmesan cheese. And so it'll be simple enough for Friday night. I just wanted to say, I just made my own breadcrumbs. I had a leftover hamburger bun from yesterday and also a couple of crusts of bread that didn't get eaten. So I just put that in my food processor to make the breadcrumbs. That's usually how I do my breadcrumbs. I don't buy them at the store. I just use leftover dried up bits of bread, and then you can even just make the breadcrumbs and put them in the freezer for whenever you'll need them. So I think actually I'm going to put some in here. just going to place as many patties in as I can and hope that they don't fall apart. All right, I'm going to make a little sauce to put on the salmon patties. And so what I usually use is some mayonnaise, some lemon juice, and a chopped dill pickle, and mix it all together. And it's a nice little topping to put on the salmon. Here it is, all plated up, super delicious and nutritious. It's something that we all love here. The sauce on the salmon gives it a little tang, a little zip, and just so enjoyable. Good evening, friends. This evening I will be making New Orleans Jambalaya, which is a recipe I wrote down a while ago. And look, my paper is all falling apart, but anyhow, it's a recipe we really enjoy. It uses sausages, and actually it takes chicken too, but I don't have any chicken thawed, so I'm just going to use it with sausages tonight that I'm going to cut up. I also need a cup of rice. I have celery. I have some chicken broth, onion, some garlic, and it takes Creole seasoning, which I don't have on hand, but I have the seasonings to make up Creole seasoning. I have some cayenne pepper, paprika, garlic powder, we're also using salt, some basil, thyme, and oregano. And the fun thing that I like, it's all in one pot, so just one pot to clean at the end. Alright, so I ended up removing the sausage from the casings and just cooking it up like this. So now I'm going to drain the fat off of it. And then I'll add all of the other ingredients and let it cook up. Simmer on the stove for 20 to 25 minutes. So now I'm going to add my cup of rice. And now all of the seasoning and spices. And now my chicken broth, which is still frozen, but it'll thaw out quickly. And there it is, all cooked up, all done, with carrots on the side. It's a really delicious dish with lots of flavor and just a comforting food. Thank you all for watching today, and as always, I hope I've inspired you to cook up something good in your kitchen. See you next time.